Thank you all for coming. This is our third annual Geneva Capital Shark Tank event, and every year we have more and more people come. We really appreciate it. We obviously have our students here. We have a lot of parents here and a lot of community members. So thank you guys all for making this such a great event for our kids. Our class put together a little video here. It's about 3 minutes long, kind of explaining the event. So we hope you enjoy the video.
The Geneva Capital Shark Tank event is a project our class has been working on for the past few months. We started off by picking a business and then moved on to the front from that business. Our group met with Abby Wright from Alamere. From there, we met with a mentor at Geneva Capital to fine-tune our paper. Finally, we are getting ready to present our project in front of Geneva Capital executives and community members with $100,000 of scholarship money on the line.
On the day of the competition, students will be presenting their marketing plans in the performing arts center. There are 8 groups that will be presenting for 15 minutes each on ways to improve a business on online brand business reputation.
First place will receive $12,000, second place will receive $6,000, and third place will receive $3,000.
I feel very fortunate because in my early years in high school and college, on into the real world, the working world, if you will, I had some great mentors and that helped coach and counsel me on what might be a great career path and how to short circuit my success. It's fun to see the success that we've had here locally with the DECA program, and now there's well over 100 kids participating. It was very exciting last year. We had 2 out of our 7 groups qualify for internationals. The Alamere group and the District 206 group. The District 206 group took 6th place out of over 200 competing teams on an international basis. That's pretty exciting. These are scholarships to go on to college, over $20,000 we've got in the hopper this year. The kids will do a fantastic job, I'm sure, on the written presentation, but what's even more impressive is everybody gets to see the oral presentations as these kids are performing on stage under pressure in front of hundreds of people. So come out and join us, it's sure to be a great day.
We want to welcome classmates, family members, and people in the community to come watch the Geneva Capital Shark Tank event.
But when I came to the Shark Tank, and I saw the maturity that these students have, I would challenge many businessmen in Alexandria run their own business to do the job that these kids are doing. And in this DECA competition, it's building these marketing skills, these business skills, these presentation skills, and giving the kids the confidence that, I can do something, and they're good at it.
As a mentor working with business cap students, it's been an honor to work with them, take what they're learning in the classroom and applying it to real world events and working with businesses in our community. So January 12th, the culmination of all your hard work is going to be on showcase, and regardless of the outcome, this opportunity is going to help you well beyond.
We would like to thank Geneva Capital for all our help and support towards Alexandria DECA and towards business caps. Mark Watkins has served as a great role model for us students, and we could not be more excited to make you proud at the Shark Tank event.
Okay, so I'd like to take a few minutes to recognize some of the people that led to today. So first off, I'd like to recognize school board members. And I saw Bob here. I know we have a few other school board members here in the crowd. I'd like to obviously recognize Julie Kritz, superintendent. We have Rick Sandstead, assistant superintendent, AHS principal, Chad Duenhager, and academy coach at the high school, Claire Anderson. Yeah. 4.5 years ago, Rick and Chad took a van full of teachers to Kansas City to look at their CAPS program. And that experience kind of laid the foundation for our class, which focuses on community partnerships and authentic learning. So, for all the teachers at the high school, so much of what we do is because of our tremendous leadership. I'd next like to thank the students. that are sitting up front here. I told you guys this a number of times, but you guys kind of set a new standard, a new bar for all future classes. I was already talking to the judges, and they said that papers-wise, you guys were better than any previous group, and I know your presentations will do the same thing. Now, I know with this project, there were a lot of midnight deadlines with writing. There were countless rehearsals, probably a lot of sleepless nights. But I hope you guys, no matter how things go today, I hope you feel like your time, your effort was worth it, no matter what happens. I think your writing skills, your communication skills, your confidence, and just the experiences that you guys have had with different businesses will always be with you. So you guys will have that. I also know that you guys might be feeling some nerves right now. How are we doing? Are we okay? Oh yeah. Okay. I do want you to realize that out of most of the adults out here, I won't say everybody, but most of us, including myself, I don't think we could imagine giving the presentation you guys are going to give at 18 years old. So you guys are ahead of the game, no matter what you do, and just be really proud of that. And I will say, every single group, I'm really proud of the effort, and I know you guys will do a great job. Okay, so on to Geneva Capital. They're the headliners. So we have Mark Watkins, Mike Tripp, and the entire staff at Geneva Capital. If we could have them all raised, I know we have members from, you guys stand up, please. If we could have like members from the marketing team, we have mentors here, anybody from Geneva Capital, if you could please stand, if you're in the audience. So with this event, we often talk about like monetary donations, like how much they're giving, but I think their commitment extends much farther than that. The time that the mentors have devoted to our students. We had a couple mentors here this morning helping students practice. The number of meetings that Mark and Mike have organized themselves and continue to put work into, and just the overall commitment of the organization is so impressive, and it means so much to our students and our class, and we really can't thank you enough. We do have a special guest here. We have Ellsworth Holm with us, and Ellsworth gets a round of applause too. Ellsworth is a former JHS business teacher who started the DECA program, so I have everything to thank to you, but he's going to be awarding our winning groups at the end today, so he's going to be presenting the checks. As you can see, we have $21,000. The first place group will receive $12,000 or $4,000 each. Second place will get $6,000, $2,000 each. And third place will get $3,000 and $1,000 each. Now, these numbers doubled because when Geneva Capital won the BIAD Community Award, Mark, once again, back-to-back years, he doubled the scholarship amount. And it's just been incredible to work with everyone at Geneva Capital, but especially Mike and Mark. And that kind of has led us into creating a DECA Booster Club and Endowment Fund. So this past year, we've been working really hard on it. Some of the reasons for creating the fund, we've seen our student activity costs in DECA in the last 2 years rise from $75 per student to $150 per student. We've also, which is a good thing, we've had more students involved in DECA. We've also had more students qualify for state and international. So because of all those things, our costs have just really gone up. We also struggle with some of the community projects we want to do, some of the fundraisers. Trevor Peterson does an amazing job, but he's always emailing me and saying, Eric, we can't do this. So a booster club and endowment fund really allows our group, our students, to do what they want and to hopefully impact the community in a lot of different ways. So when I pitched this idea to Mark, I thought I would go with a really high number. I'd be aggressive. I threw out $20,000. And he told me, like, Eric, we would give $20,000 right now. So he's like, you got to think bigger. We want something that's going to outlast us both. And he set a goal, a very high goal, of $250,000 for the endowment fund. And for those of you that don't know what an endowment fund is, I looked up, Harvard has the largest endowment fund. They have $39.2 billion in their endowment fund. And they use that money, the interest from that investment, they spent $1.8 billion to pay all of their expenses as a college. So that's really how an endowment works. You spend the interest, hopefully the fund continues to grow year after year. So using Mark's number of $250,000, we would have $12,500 each and every year to help our students and to help the community. So I think it's a great cause, and it's also something that I think is gonna just continue to grow our DECA chapter. So that's all I have. I wanna welcome Mark onto the stage to say a few words. If we can give him a round of applause.
Got to move the mic down about 6 inches. Thank you, Eric. Every great thing that happens comes from inspiration. And I just want to take my hat off and talk a little bit about Eric Hartman first calling us with this whole concept. It was his idea, not our idea. It was his idea to join forces between the private sector, our businesses, our local businesses, and to create the Shark Tank concept. It was Eric's idea, and he approached us on the concept of a DECA endowment fund. And so I can't describe how important that is, that he took the initiative, he reached out, he presented these ideas to us. We evolved it a little bit and put a little bit of gasoline on the fire on maybe jacking up the numbers because we think we can really do it. But Eric, I'd like to have everyone here help me give you a round of applause. And we could go through the growth and the numbers of the DECA and CAP students in those respective programs, and it's about quadrupled in the last 5 years. That just doesn't happen. It happens because people are inspired. It was about 8 years ago, Andrew Cavers and I were at a restaurant in Dallas, Texas after a long meeting with one of our customers and a supplier. We were out for dinner, and Gretchen, our youngest daughter, who was a senior at the time, called me on the cell phone, so I said, guys, I gotta excuse myself. I stepped out, took the call, came back, and Rodney Williams, a great friend and great customer of ours, looked at me and he said, everything okay? And I said, yeah. I said, Gretchen's team is going to state, right? And he goes, DECA, you mean like the business class in the high school? And I said, exactly. And in his words, DECA changed my life. So I'm going to take 2 minutes and tell you the Rodney Williams story. Rodney Williams was 18 years old, getting ready to go to college. Came from a broken family, divorced. His mom had been married, it was either 4 or 5 times, I can't remember. It was a tough luck story. Rodney couldn't go to college because he needed to stay home and take care of his mom, who also had a problem with alcohol. But that's Rodney, he's going to take care of family first. So Rodney starts working in the warehouse loading trucks at the age of 18. And 26 years later, he ends up the executive vice president running the company on a day-to-day, month-to-month basis. And it's got 325 employees. So he had to defer his college education, which he never went back and got. About 5 years ago, he called and he goes, what do you think if I went back and got my 4-year degree? And I said, well, why do you need it? Look at what you've done in your career. And he said, I need it because of me. I need it because of my sense of accomplishment. So Andrew and I just got an email the other day, and he took a picture of his diploma and sent it to us. And he went back after it, but the fact of the matter is, DECA changed my life. That was his opening line on a topic that we had known each other very well, spent many times together, had never ever come up, but when it did, it struck a chord with him, and it helped to drive him. And he had a great DECA teacher. I remember him telling the story that told him, Rodney, you're cut out. You love people. You love challenges. You love to create things. You love team-type environments, and that's what we're talking about here today. So students, DECA can change your life, and be very proud of what you're doing because you guys are the creme de la creme. And from the past year's presentations, I know how inspired I get out of it, and we're looking forward to being inspired once again. Good luck, and come up here today like you own it.
Okay, so just a couple quick things, just so everybody understands the competition structure. The judges have already evaluated the 20-page paper, so that was worth 40 points. Today they'll be evaluating 40 points for the presentation and 20 points for overall impressions for a possible 100 points. You can also see Eddie Reif there. He'll be here later today, but we have a 6th rotating judge from the business. So there'll be 8 different business members that will be with us as judges asking questions. And then this is our schedule. So we're gonna transition very quickly. Students have 12 minutes to present. They have 3 minutes of questions, and then we'll get the next group on stage. At the end there too, we're gonna have ice cream in the commons if you're able to stick around. So with that, let's give Bell Bank a round of applause. They're up first. Testing. Everyone knows that Bell Bank has the best cookies in town, but do they know how many cookies they actually have? In 2018 alone, they made 52,800 cookies just at the Alexandria branch, and all the branches combined made 2,785,000 cookies. Now, that's a lot of cookies, but we wanted to put that number into scale. So we brought a cookie back to the lab to take some measurements, and what we found out was pretty interesting. If we stacked all of the cookies on top of each other, it'd be 22 miles tall, reaching into the stratosphere. If we aligned them all the way from Alexandria to Minneapolis, it'd be 132 miles long. And if we weighed them all, it'd be 77 tons, which is more than 2 18-wheelers with the trailer attached. Now, is Bell Bank crazy? For their customers, they are. The main question they face today is this: how can we give away even more cookies? Hi, my name is Parker Javis.
And I'm Brendan Scoutness, and this is our Finance Operation Research Project for Bell Bank. The main problem Bell Bank is facing is banks are moving online and customers are following. So Bell Bank needs to find a great way to bring the great in-store service to their online services. Now let's get to know Bell Bank a little bit better. With over $6 billion in assets, they are the largest independently owned bank in the upper Midwest, as well as the 2nd largest bank in Alexandria. They employ over 1,300 people in 25 branches across the country, as well as being involved in all of the communities they're based in. With their Pay It Forward program, they give $1,000 to their full-time employees, and their part-time employees get $500 to donate to the causes of their choice. Their motto, happy employees, happy customers, shows how they want to treat their employees right, so their employees treat every customer like they're part of the family.
To begin our research process, we used several secondary resources. We first started with articles to find out how loyal customers are to their bank, in addition to how we get them to switch to us. Then we used government sources to find demographics and financial information on customers. And finally, we used websites to analyze so we can assign numbers to certain websites to avoid personal bias.
Along with our secondary sources, we also used primary sources we conducted ourselves. We had surveys, interviews, and online observations.
We did 2 different surveys. We had an employee survey and a public survey. The employee survey was distributed at a couple branches to figure out what employees thought could be done better, and they thought that utilizing online marketing could be better. We also did a public survey where we generated over 300 responses. We discovered that incentives are important to get customers to switch to us. And finally, we also realized there's such a thing as the big bank effect. If you look at the Net Promoter Score, Bell Bank rests at the top with a really high score. However, a bank in the area that's a large national one has a score in the negatives, meaning that customer service is really important.
Our interview started off with Abby Fleischman, who was our go-to person at Bell Bank. She was able to help us get statistics about banking facts about Bell Bank and get us in contact with other employees, such as Marketing President Sean Tennyson, who was able to stop by on his way back from Minneapolis and give us an interview where he talked about his opinions on the online presence, what they're doing from a marketing standpoint now and in the future, and how they run their social media pages. We were also able to talk with Ken Paulus, who was able to talk about the detailed information about how they run their website and mobile app and what we can do to make them better.
So if you look on the screen, we have analysis of the websites and mobile apps of 3 different banks. We like Bell Bank's website on the left, and we think their mobile app looks a little bit bare compared to some of the other ones. If you look underneath, we assign scores to them. You can see that webaim.org has the critical errors score, and we also have a domain authority. The critical errors measures problems with the websites and like missing information. So they had a score of 13 for the critical errors, and they had a domain authority of 32 out of 100. This is pretty average. What this means is that when you do go with Google search, you can see the higher the score, the higher it'll appear on the Google search page. On the right, you can see the mobile application, where we have a 4.5 out of 5 on the Apple Store and a 4.2 out of 5 on the Google Play Store. Next, we looked at Bremer Bank. This is because they're the largest bank in Alexandria. As you can see, their website looks very modern and nice, and their mobile app is very comparable to Bell Bank's. You can see they only had 2 critical errors for theirs, and they had a domain authority of 43 out of 100, which is a little above average. And if you look at the mobile app, it's also well scored with a 4.8 out of 5 on the App Store and a 4.5 out of 5 on the Google Play Store. Finally, we looked at Gate City Bank because it's another bank centralized in Fargo, North Dakota, and is of comparable size. The website looks very comparable to Bell Bank's, and the mobile app looked the best to us because of its utilization of space. You can see they only had 6 critical errors on their website and a 33 out of 100 for their domain authority. Although we liked the app the best, it had the lowest scores of 3.6 out of 5 on the app stores.
As well as our online observations, we looked in depth at their social media. We found that most of the banks posted similar content where they post banking advice, banking articles, their community involvement, and events that they host or support. We found that Facebook was dominated largely by Bell Bank, as well as interactions on Twitter. We found that they needed a little bit more help on their following on their other social media pages.
So some key takeaways from our research was that employees and customers, unsurprisingly, love Bell Bank. However, we did find that the employee survey indicated that online marketing could be better utilized. We also realized that incentives are going to be necessary to make customers switch. And finally, from our secondary research, we learned that 18 years is the average amount of time someone spends with the same checking account, meaning that if we get them soon, we'll have them for a very long time.
Based off our key findings, we were able to create 4 main objectives for our project. We wanted to focus marketing on appropriate demographic and geographic segments. We wanted to improve the online features, update the mobile app, and improve upon loyalty programs and increase the amount of community involvement.
To begin with our technology-based activities, we wanted to streamline the online account and applications. When I first signed up for Bell Bank, the online application, it was easy to get all my info in, but the verification process was a little bit difficult. Next, we wanted to update the website and the mobile app. Although we think they look good, we think we get better and make the website look a little more modern, and the mobile app will better use the space. We also wanted to increase social media following through monthly giveaways. For new followers, they can have the chance to win a $50 gift card to a local business. And finally, we want to improve the domain authority through advertising on social media and Google, in addition to updating the website.
Our loyalty-based activities are based largely on giveaways and incentives to get people to switch to Bell and for them to stay with us for the long haul. Our first one, Ring the Bell promotion, is where we will have a gift card of $50 up to a local business given away once a month for people who have opened a new account. Our Keep the Bell Ringing campaign is focusing on getting people to stay with us for longer periods of time by having a giveaway once a year on the anniversary of Bell Bank with 10 $50 gift cards to local businesses. And our drive-through cookies we established through our public banking survey, where people who said they banked at Bell had felt awkward going into Bell Bank for just the cookies after they came through the drive-through for the transaction.
So some of our community-based activities are Bell Local Rewards. What we want to do is when someone buys local, if they use their Bell Bank credit card, they'll earn 1% cash back. We also want to have a partnership with Eldon's Fresh Food. They have a nice mobile app that allows you to apply coupons to your order. We want Bell Bank to sponsor some coupons and donate some money and donate some food to the food shelf. And finally, we want to announce community celebrations through the app. We want to have push notifications that shows community members from Bell Bank doing stuff in the community. That makes the customer feel good for banking with Bell and also raises local appeal.
Our ad campaigns focus on people who are going through lifestyle changes like marriage, divorce, moving, or having children. We will show them how we can help with the process, at least from a financial standpoint. We also want to target people who have bad experiences at big national banks where they might be treated more as numbers, not part of the family like they would at Bell. Our timeline goes over how we will start in April of this year and go all the way to July till all of our updates and everything are made.
So as you can see right here, we have a projected increase in customers by 3%, which goes around 255 new customers. If you look on the left, we have our programs and how much they contribute to the percentage. And you can see the key metrics here. Please keep in mind that the new numbers we're announcing are on top of the existing trends. As you can see, they all hover around that 255 new customer mark, but then we also want to increase domain authority around 10 points. After this has all been completed, we will distribute a customer survey at branches to see what customers think of the changes and if there's any more improvements that can be made. Right here is the budget. For the first year, we planned it to cost around $76,580. $25,000 of this is going to go towards updating the website and the mobile app. After the first year, it'll cost $50,000, which mostly goes towards the ad campaigns as well as the reward programs.
Our lifetime customer value is based on findings from our secondary research as well as numbers we got from Abby Kleinschmidt, but we lowered them just a little bit to keep them more realistic. We chose 0.75% to represent the profit from loans and from CDs, as well as an 8.5% profit from the loans and mortgages. We found that the annual customer value for 1 year will be $2,500, as well as a total lifetime customer value of $45,000. And we chose that off of the 18-year average a person stays with the bank. Our return on investment is based off the numbers we went over in the last few slides, where we talked about the lifetime customer value and new customers attained. We were able to calculate the value of new accounts, as well as taking the budget to get to a return on investment of 719% money back.
So we want to wrap everything up with a quote by American businessman Scott Cook. Instead of focusing on the competition, focus on the customer. We believe Bell Bank has been successful because they apply this every day. With a new strategy implemented, we will see improved online features, expand the Bell Bank family, and make some more cookies. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. Could you go back to the slide right before the key metrics, please? Next one. This, yeah.
All right.
How did you come up with the projected increase numbers here? 2%, 0.4%, 0.5%, 1%?
So when researching using our secondary resources, we were looking at what would be the most effective. We found that an advertising campaign that's a little different from what's going on right now would be most likely the most effective. We know that the mobile applications and websites will improve the experience for everyone using Bell Bank's services, but it won't contribute directly to the most amount of new customers.
Okay. And so based on this increase, have you talked to anybody in the management if 3% would be an acceptable number?
So currently with our current trends of growth, it was around 40 new customers per month. We believe that this is pretty realistic because we wanted to lowball it and not go over the top with a crazy ROI or something like that.
Okay. And then if you could go to the profit screen, please.
Turn on investment?
Yeah, go back, this is backward.
Oh, you want the lifetime?
Yeah, as you look at the annual profit, you're looking at the margin spread there, the earnings rate. Have you calculated anything to do with labor, building costs, anything like that to get your profit? Because that
It's a big number, yes. This is strictly profits. We understand there's a lot of expenses that go along with maintaining a bank. This is not directly going to go straight into the new deposits or total earnings. A lot of this is going to go towards labor, but we believe it's going to be very effective.
Okay. One last question on, you talked about the cash machine, I think, in the right
Cash machine.
So what?
No, maybe I got it mixed up with that one, so never mind. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out and seeing us present.
All right, and then our next group presenting is the Lure Lake Bar. There is one correction on the program. It has it marked as Kate Blankenship, Will Moga, and Ethan Schrader. This is incorrect. The presenters are Joey Carlson, Nathaniel Mulder, and Matthew Zick. So if you guys would please give a big round of applause for our next group.
Okay, so everybody knows the best part of living in Alexandria is the summer. And the summer wouldn't be the same without the lakes. Whether you're surfing, fishing, or just relaxing on the boat, at the end of the day, you always get hungry. And the Lure is a perfect spot where you can dock your boat and walk right on into the restaurant. But everybody also knows about the winters in Alexandria. The older people, or we like to call them snowbirds, head south for the winter for the ideal climate. This is negatively impacting the tourism industry along with the population of the community. The population of the community decrease. It makes it difficult for the Lure to continue sales in the winter months.
This is our business operations research project on the Lure Lake Bar. I'm Nathaniel Mulder, and these are my partners Matthew Zick and Joey Carlson.
In this presentation, we're going to discuss the major problems of the Lure. We're going to talk about secondary and primary research we did. Then we're going to talk about our proposed activities that we found based on our findings and conclusions. And then we're going to wrap it up with our budget and our ROI on our proposed activities.
So first we'll be going over the 4 problems we found with the Lure. The first problem we found was that it has a small customer base. This is due to the fact that it's a new restaurant and hasn't yet established a loyal customer base. The second problem we established was many customers leave during the winter months. What we talked about in our introduction, it's hard to be successful in the winter months as a restaurant. And our third problem is the lack of community involvement. Being a new restaurant, it's not extremely involved in the community yet. And our fourth problem, it has a weak online brand presence. This is due to the fact for its poor online reviews, which we will touch later in our presentation.
So we started off by looking online and gathering some secondary research. We went to tripadvisor.com to see the online reviews for the Lure. We then looked at the U.S. Census Bureau to get an idea of the population around the area. And finally, we looked at the Lure's website and social media platforms to get an idea of what they look like.
After our secondary research, we did surveys and interviews of competitors in the area for our primary research.
So our first form of primary research was a general public survey. We had 150 community members take our survey, and with the results of the survey, we were able to collect a Net Promoter Score. A Net Promoter Score is a score based on negative 100 to 100. Any score being positive is a good score. And the Lure got a negative 21, which was actually the worst score out of its competitors. And a Net Promoter Score is how likely you are to recommend a restaurant to either a friend or a family member. And also with this data, we were able to see that 80% of people are more likely to go to a restaurant if it is involved in the community.
So then we conducted an employee survey with 15 employees at the Lure Lake Bar. And after finding that 80% of people in the community would rather eat at a restaurant if it was involved in giving back to the community, it concerned us to find that the majority of employees at the Lure found that they feel that the restaurant's not active in giving back to the community. The employees at the Lure also feel that the Lure does not have a very strong online brand presence. So now we're going to be going over the interviews that we conducted with owners and managers of some of the local restaurants.
In our interview with Kevin from Zorba's, he talked about how Zorba's is a very well-established restaurant in Minnesota. They're very well known, so he himself did not have to do a ton of establishing with it. Plus, their location on the chain is quite a great location. He also uses social media very well. He targets a younger demographic and shows how Zorba's is a very fun place to be.
Next, we had a meeting with Ken Kopp from Pike and Pint. Pike and Pint is probably one of the more successful restaurants in the Alexandria area, and Ken gave us some great insight on how he stays busy during the winter months. One great tip he gave us was to use daily specials. Daily specials just give customers a reason to want to come in and put your foot in the door. Another great tip he gave us was to incorporate Food Dudes. Food Dudes is an online delivery service, and Ken Kopp does over 100 orders a day on Food Dudes, which dramatically increases his sales.
So we met with Gayla from the Interlochen Inn, and we found that the Interlochen is very similar to the Lure based on the fact that they're on the outskirts of town and on the lake. Gayla expressed that they're not very active on social media, however this has not affected them because over the years they've established a very large customer base and they've been able to stay busy during the winters and summers.
In our interview with Andy McDonald, the owner of the Lure, he talked about how they outsource their social media and their website designing to a third party. There's both positives and negatives to this. The positive that it looks very professional. The negatives to this is that the person making all that is not in the community or involved in the community anyways or in the Alexandria area. This will cause a lack of personability and shows a lack of commitment to the community. And it also talks about, or he also talked about how they plan on doing more events and musical bands to bring in more customers into.
So after conducting our research, we were able to come up with some conclusions. We found that the majority of restaurants in the area rely on regular customers to stay busy during the winter. We also found that having a strong online presence is very important to keep customers engaged and make them aware of any events or specials that the restaurant may be having. Finally, we found that members in the community find it very important for businesses to be actively involved in giving back to the community. So based off of these, we were able to come up with a plan for the Lure Lake Bar to increase their online brand presence and reputation within the community through various events and activities.
So for our proposed activities, we created 4 objectives. Our first one was to increase online presence. Our second one was to increase customer engagements. And our third was to establish better relationships with customers. And then our last one was to build a strong connection with the high school. And then the following is going to be our proposed activities. They all tie back into our objectives.
So our first proposed activity is a student ID discount. This will be for anyone attending the local high school or the local community college. They will offer a 10% discount when they show their current student ID. This will help it bring like a younger demographic into the restaurant, along with building new customers who hopefully turn into loyal customers who continue to come to the restaurant even after they graduate.
Our next proposed activity is going to be a Christmas dinner. This will take place on Christmas, and it's going to be for those in need who cannot afford dinner for themselves. It's going to show how the Lure is involving themselves into the community and also shows how they're giving back to the community.
Next will be a social media campaign. The Lure's current online brand presence is strong, but it could be much better. First off, they need to establish a much larger following on all social media platforms. They need to do so by posting and then using social media ads to boost their posts to gain a larger following. Once they have a larger following, they will need to post about events happening at the Lure to gain a larger attendance, to then gain new customers and turn new customers into loyal customers.
So Food Dudes is an online delivery service where customers can order from their phone or their computer and have food delivered right to their door. After meeting with Ken Kopp from Pike, we decided that partnering with Food Dudes was a no-brainer as it will offer a new source of revenue for the Lure and give customers a new way to eat the Lure's food without having to drive to the edge of town.
Another proposed activity is partnering with the hockey program and sponsoring them. It's really showing how the Lure is giving back to the community and also building that strong connection with the high school. This can also expand into other sports and activities such as basketball, football, baseball, etc.
And one of the more exciting activities we're proposing is a live party or music on the ice. It'll be very similar to Eel Pout if you know what that is. We'll have a band, stage, food, drinks, a bunch of companies coming together to put on this event. And it'll just shine a good light on the Lure, showing that they're active in the community. And it'll just be a really good time for everyone attending, and it'll hopefully bring in new customers who will turn into loyal customers for the Lure.
Incorporating daily specials will incentivize customers to come into the restaurant to take advantage of the deal, It will also draw a weekly crowd of people that will come back every week to keep taking advantage of these deals and will hopefully turn some customers into regular customers.
When trying to find a new restaurant, a lot of people turn to the internet. A lot of times they'll go to sites like TripAdvisor. When we looked up the Lure, we discovered that they're ranked number 39 out of 44 restaurants in Alexandria and have an overall score of 3.0 on TripAdvisor. We see this as both a positive and a negative. And the positive is more of an opportunity because there's only 26 reviews on there. That's not really a lot. That doesn't get a good taste of what it really is. So what we propose on doing is offering a 10% discount to those who leave us a review in order to gain more reviews. And we think from that will grow both the rankings and the ratings. And this is the proposed activities timeline. Each little X is when each activity will take place.
And this is our table for projected new customers for each activity. We project we will gain 45 new loyal customers from our list of activities.
So up there you can see our budget for all of the proposed activities. It comes to a total of around $40,000. And then down here you can look at where we calculated customer lifetime value, which is basically how much a loyal customer is going to be worth to the Lure. And in 1 year, a loyal customer can be expected to spend about $230 at the Lure. And we stretch this over a span of 20 years. So over 20 years, a loyal customer can be expected to spend about $4,500 at the Lure.
And now to calculate our return on investment. So to calculate our sales growth, we took our projected total of new customers of 45. We multiplied that by our customer lifetime value to get right around $205,000. We then subtracted that from our budget or our marketing expenses of right around $40,000 to get a net profit of $164,000. We then divided that by around $40,000 to get 4.1416, and we multiplied that by 100 to put it in the form of a percent of 414.16%. To summarize that, Lure spends around $40,000 marketing, and they will receive a net profit of around $164,000 over the span of 20 years, or in a percent form, 414.16% profit increase.
Through these marketing activities, we hope to turn the Lure into a luxury destination that will keep customers and tourists returning for years to come. Thank you for listening, and do you have any questions?
Thank you, guys. Tell me what the most important thing you've learned while doing this research that will benefit the Lure, in your opinion?
I think probably the online reviews, since so many tourists come to Alexandria in the summer, and so many people base where they're going to eat off of online reviews, and you saw how poor the Lure is currently on TripAdvisor. And if they can reach to the top of that list, a lot more people are going to come in, especially during the summer.
And then if you look at that party on the ice where the cost was $10,000, I believe?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, and I think you looked at your research saying if you had 100 people, that would be excellent. $10,000 cost with an excellent return of 100 people. Do you think that management would look at that as being an excellent return?
I think management would see that as an excellent return, considering you're putting $10,000 in, and lots of other companies would also be pitching into this, and getting that return of good, loyal customers, I think, would pay for itself.
Okay. Could you go to the return on investment sheet, please? If you take a look at this, the sales growth versus the marketing expense, you're showing a profit of $164,000. I think you need to take a look at a little bit more in detail with as you have growth in customers, there's a cost of the food preparation, the labor to deliver it. So the true net profit probably isn't $164,000. You also have utilities expense, operating expense. So it's something I would suggest you might want to take a look at, because it's not a true net profit when you dig in just to the sales growth and the marketing expense. There's other expenses that are included in there, something to take a look at.
Thank you.
so our next group is AGAR, and if you could give a warm round of applause to Kaylee Meyer, Sarah O'Connor, and Cora Basil.
Okay, test. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3. I'm sure many of you, like us, don't purchase custom packaging machinery on a daily basis, but that does not mean manufacturing companies like AGAR don't impact our community every single day. 21% of our local workforce is employed in the manufacturing industry, and 4% of every single packaging machine built nationwide is built here in Alexandria alone. Because manufacturing is a huge part of our local culture, finding top-tier employees is hard for the manufacturing companies. My name is Kaylee Meyer, and these are my partners, Kira O'Connor and Cora Basil, and in our business operations research project, we partnered with AGAR in improving their online brand presence and reputation.
We will begin our presentation with a brief overview, starting with the areas of opportunity, then identifying our research goal and research conducted, then moving on to our findings, proposed activities, and finishing with the budget.
We identified 3 main areas of opportunity, the first being a general lack of community awareness of AGAR's operations, the second being a severe engineer deficit within AGAR, and lastly, a lack of female representation within the company.
The goal of our research was to identify the current state of awareness of AGAR in the community, then find strategies to attract engineering employees, and then finally determine the current rate of customer satisfaction. We divided our research into 3 phases, the first being preliminary background information. We used online articles and educational book, This is Marketing by Seth Godin, which gave us insight into search engine optimization, marketing tactics, and the importance of a positive online reputation. We then conducted an analysis of AGAR's online brand presence and found that social media is used insufficiently, and that although they have a positive review of 5 stars, there's only 3 reviews lacking depth.
The second phase of research consisted of a set of primary research. We conducted 3 surveys, 3 interviews, and 2 focus groups. The first survey was our public survey, where we generated a total of 184 responses. We asked the question, what have you heard of? Do you know the company AGAR? And 95% of Douglas County has stated that they have heard of the company AGAR. We then asked the question, do you know what AGAR does? And only 14% of Douglas County had stated that they know what AGAR's operations are. An open-ended question was, when thinking about manufacturing companies in Alexandria, Minnesota, what are the first companies that come to your mind? And AGAR was 3rd, behind Douglas Machine and 3M. The next survey that we conducted was our student survey, and we generated a total of 106 responses. We sent this survey to college manufacturing students from the colleges Alexandria Technical and Community College, North Dakota State University, and University of Minnesota Duluth. We asked them to rank online brand presence categories on what they look for in a future workplace, and they have stated that online reviews and the website are the most valuable. We then asked what they look for in a future company, and the college students stated that they like reputation, company culture, location, and innovation when looking for a future workplace. We got the opportunity to connect with 9 of AGAR's Fortune 500 company customers. We asked them to rate on a scale of 1 to 5 of how likely they are to do business with AGAR again in the future, and 8 of the 9 companies rated a 5. We found out that AGAR delivers on its promises when it comes to time, cost, and performance. We asked one of the AGAR customers stated, AGAR is a wonderful company to work with. They are very good at understanding our needs and are able to propose a solution for those needs. We then conducted 2 competitor interviews, the first being with CFO Thomas Epka from Douglas Machine. He informed us the importance of hiring individuals who are inclined to the Alexandria area. We then conducted an over-the-phone interview with national competitor Crown Packaging. They explained to us the importance of advertising your expo booths and promoting females within the workplace. Lastly, we conducted an interview with Linda Anderson from AGAR. She told us that they're behind the industry standard of 6 to 8 months wait time, as currently they are 14th month in wait times. Our main takeaway from our surveys is that AGAR has 0% female engineers, while Douglas Machine has 14% and Crown Packaging in the lead with 18%.
We then conducted 2 focus groups of 7 employees. Their company's main focuses were coworker friendliness, company culture, and company prestige and reputation. One employee in particular said, "My favorite part of working at AGARD is we choose quality over quantity." In our third and final phase of research, we conducted an additional secondary information. We utilized online articles such as Influential Women in Manufacturing, which gave us insight into the benefits of having a diversified workplace, which leads to improved innovation and which leads to a higher return on equity and an increased profitability by 28%. We then conducted an analysis of both national competitor Crown Packaging and local competitor Douglas Machine's online brand reputation. We found that Douglas Machine is already making efforts as they have a Women in the Workplace blog already put in place, while national competitor Crown Packaging uses real-life examples on their websites to promote their products. In conclusion of our findings, we have gathered that in order for AGARD to improve its online brand presence and reputation, it must increase social media use, recognize that gender diversity is important in the workplace, boost community awareness, and utilize online resources when hiring, especially when targeting college-age students.
After analyzing the findings and conclusions of the research, we came up with a core pillar philosophy called BASE. The B stands for Build Awareness of AGARD's operations, contributions, and advancements within the public. The A stands for Achieve Meaningful Change in the Workplace by hiring and supporting women in the industry. The S stands for Stimulate Online Presence to reach new employees and customers. And the E stands for Stand Targeted Advertising Campaign through multiple online platforms. The first 3 activities are under the pillar B. And the first one is to create an advertisement showcasing the AGARD experience. The advertisement will be placed through Google AdWords for web users that have searched topics regarding manufacturing in Minnesota in the past. And it'll also be distributed in the Alexandria CEC movie theater. I know what you're thinking. Nobody watches the advertisements at the movie theater, but we have a solution for that. At the beginning of the advertisement, we'll have a really catchy introduction that'll cause people to look up and think the movie is starting. And the third place that this advertisement will be distributed is social media and website.
Our next activity is to involve local manufacturing students. Our first suggestion is to bring a small AGARD machine to the Alexandria Area High School AGARD Commons. This will give students insight into what a machine does and how it operates. Next, we suggest that an AGARD tour day happens, inviting 200 of Douglas County's local manufacturing students so they can get an inside look into what AGARD does in a day. Our next activity is a monthly employee donation. Each month, a random employee will be selected and given a $200 donation to donate to an organization of their choice. This will be promoted on AGARD's social media platforms under the hashtag Growing Our Community. This will improve AGARD's reputation throughout the community by showcasing their generosity.
The next 2 activities are associated with Pillar A, the first being to create a female student scholarship. Female students across the state of Minnesota will have the opportunity to write competing essays about the importance of having a female perspective in a male-dominated manufacturing industry. They will then be evaluated and the top 3 essays will be awarded a scholarship. This goes to show how much AGARD cares about supporting women in manufacturing and will overall increase their reputation. We also suggest they become a corporate member with Women in Manufacturing, a national trade organization that focuses around attracting, retaining, and advancing female talent. This will be promoted on social media and website. This will help to encourage women to apply at AGARD. The next 3 activities are associated with Pillar S. The first being to improve AGARD's search engine optimization. We suggest that AGARD consult Tyler Goldberg, Cyber Scout Specialist, who will hide keywords on the back end of their websites and overall improve their ranking on Google search engines, leading to more foot traffic on their website.
Our next activity is to renovate social media use. Currently, AGARD does not have an Instagram account. We suggest that they create one because they are targeting college students, and that is a college student's main social media platform. We also suggest that they create a subscription with Sprout Social to keep track of their social media analytics. We also suggest that they increase their online reviews. Currently, AGARD only has 3 online reviews. AGARD will suggest to both customer and employees to complete a review, and then they will be put into a prize drawing. This will increase AGARD's reputation and hopefully in the future incentivize future engineers to work with AGARD.
The last two activities fall under Pillar E. AGARD currently has pictures of employees with a testimonial quote, but AGARD will utilize their videographer, Pete White, and turn those testimonial pictures into a testimonial video. On our college student survey, college students stated that they trust word of mouth, and this video will give the word of mouth to those college students, creating brand and credibility to AGARD. Our last activity is to create a customer portal on their website. AGARD's current website is only directed to attract potential employees, so this will be an easy form of communication between customer and AGARD. The information on the portal will be relevant just for the customer, including information on machine progress reports, invoices, and online payments.
The budget will, in order for our plan to be effective and profitable, the budget will cost $49,373 in the first year. The following 3 years after will cost $27,373. This is because activities such as the creation of both advertisements and the customer portal are only first-year costs.
The ROI for this plan will be $1.5 million in present value dollars after the 4-year implementation. This is because 5 additional engineers will be able to be employed every single year, and 5 employees can create 1 additional incremental packaging machine. On average, engineers make $70,000 a year with their salary and benefits, so that'll be $350,000 per year. And material costs for a typical machine are $350,000, so that'll be $700,000 total in those costs. Each machine on average is sold for $1 million based on the complexity and size of each machine. So after our 4-year campaign, 6 additional machines will be able to be created, which will be the $1.5 million present value dollars, and we use a discount rate of 3%.
To invest in AGARD's online brand presence and reputation is to invest in AGARD's future. Online marketing becomes more and more important every day. By implementing these changes, they will see an effective and modern approach taken that will help them to continue winning together honorably. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Very good job. Quick question, if you could go back to the social media platforms. Is there a reason you left out LinkedIn when looking to kind of build brand awareness with AGARD and using them to talk about hiring and bring people in?
AGARD already has a LinkedIn profile, so they're already utilizing that social media platform.
Okay, thank you. And then tie into the reviews and also bringing in potential employers or potential employees. Do you feel that it's a good or bad idea to basically to incentivize current employees and customers to leave reviews for AGARD to bring in potential employees and only being incentivized to do that instead of having to do it organically without any incentive, and that might lead to kind of a bad, I guess not a lot of depth when looking at Google total reviews if they're all 5-star reviews because they were all solicited because somebody had an incentive to do it. Is there any negative outcome that could happen to potential employees just basically reading all these reviews online, kind of not knowing that they were all solicited because they had an incentive? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great point. We made sure when we were working on this to make sure that our incentive wasn't given to everyone. Because it's a prize-based drawing, not everyone who leaves a review would gain a prize, which would be something like a backpack or maybe a small gift card. So the reviews don't have to be positive reviews, you just have to leave an honest review.
Got it, perfect. And then one last thing, when trying to bring in female employees, obviously to raise it from 0, you mentioned joining WIM. After you join WIM, what would be the next step? What would AGARD have to do after they join that?
So they're becoming a corporate member in that. So there's like, it's $2,000 a year. So it's like you attend events, and then there's women in manufacturing that like they talk at those events and they say like how they became interested in the field, which will give people from AGARD incentives to use to promote future women. So like they'll just go to events and learn from the corporate members.
Yes, and then AGAR will promote those events on their social media platforms by posting pictures of them at these events, and then women can see them participating and stuff like that.
Excellent. Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then our next group is Vantage Bank. So if you get a big round of applause for Nick Langner, Hunter Hastings, and Connor Schultz.
All right, testing. Yep, works. A history that is established. A rising bank with compatible resources that can reach a wide variety of customers based on traditional values and a look into the future of how banking should be and will be. Hello, my name is Hunter Hastings, and these are my associates Connor Schultz and Nick Langner, and today we'll be going over our Finance Operations Research Project for Vantage Bank.
Today we'll be going over the history of Vantage Bank, as well as the research methods and the findings and conclusions of those. This will bring us into our proposed activities, proposed metrics, and then lastly, we'll get into our budget.
Vantage Bank has a rich history. Since being founded in 1902 by F.E. Keniston, there have been numerous ownership changes, most prominent coming in 2012 when Jeff Montgomery took over. With Mr. Montgomery's leadership, there have been tremendous growth.
Here's a list of 7 local banks in the Alexandria area that show the overall growth in deposits over the previous year. Despite the Vantage Bank having the lowest amount here, they rank number 1 in the overall growth in percentage, which is at 21%. But Vantage doesn't stop there. Through looking at their pros and cons, they can develop an effective plan of marketing, which we'll get into a little bit later.
When working with Vantage Bank, we identified 4 main problems that should be included into the business plan. 1, they currently do not have any social media accounts for advertising and brand recognition. 2, they need some website updates. 3, for focus on local business, community involvement is key. And 4, new and fresh strategies could be implemented for reaching the younger generation.
Now getting into our goals of research, we pulled 3 different objectives, which are 1, understanding the customer perceptions of Vantage Bank. 2, identifying the preferences and attitudes towards the banking as a whole. And 3, determining effective marketing strategies for the consumer. All of these key objectives led us into our primary research.
For our primary research, we used several methods to gather our data. These consisted of surveys, observations, interviews, and even as well as an employee focus group as we looked for ways to better the Vantage Bank brand.
The general public survey consisted of 210 responses. 64% of the respondents said that online activity and services are the most important characteristic to look for in a bank. When asked how often they bank online, 83% said that they bank online most, if not every time.
Now on to our customer survey. There were 117 responses in total, and we pulled 3 different questions that focused on the bank's online presence. Now 74% said that Vantage Bank's online services were very accessible. Now for those of you who have gone through the grueling education system, no, that's only a C average. But Vantage Bank sees that as only a 26% to grow in the coming year.
When we met with Vantage Bank employees, we went over various options in regarding to utilizing their services more efficiently. We also covered their social media presence and the demographics they could target. During this meeting, marketing consultant Sarah Stoddard stated that over 60% of the younger generation thought that banking is outdated and boring.
We interviewed Jeff Montgomery at Vantage Bank. He gave us an in-depth look at the recent growth of the bank, including their increase of 3% in their advertising budget. He then discussed with us customer loyalty, explaining how customer loyalty and customer satisfaction are very closely related. After interviewing Mr. Montgomery, we interviewed Jill Leesberg at Blackridge Bank. She helped us identify the key differences between a corporate and a local bank. She then described Blackridge Bank's marketing strategies, explaining the use of celebrity endorsements such as Carson Wentz.
Our third and final interview was with Mark Grenad from Viking Bank, and he informed us that it's very important to be keeping up with the modern trends in the banking industry, as well as focusing less on physical advertising and more on the online services that the bank can provide. Our last form of primary research was from our competitor observations, and from looking at Viking Bank and Blackridge Bank, we are able to see that customer service is very important, as well as using services such as MoneyPass and a mobile application is important as well.
For our secondary research, we used internet sources like Bank USA and Alexandria Economic Development Commission and also as well as various articles like the Banking Industry News to gather information to give a better understanding as to why people switch banks. We questioned, how can a small town local bank compete against a national lender?
Through our secondary research, we found that online institutions such as Quicken Loans are taking a lot of business away from local banks. Then when researching on switching banks, we found that 60% of people that are switching banks are switching for reasons other than just being unsatisfied with their current bank. We also found that 45% of millennials are switching banks because they feel that fees are too high. After collecting all of our findings, conclusions were developed.
We were able to generate 4 different conclusions from our primary and secondary research. The first being focusing on the online services for Vantage Bank. Second, to be creating a vibrance in the Vantage Bank website, as well as reaching out to younger generations and keeping up with modern trends. And here's a look at the mobile application that Vantage Bank has right now.
Small communities love to give back locally and beyond. For our first activity, Vantage Bank will work with Operation Christmas Child and have their boxes on display in the main lobby. This will give the opportunity to customers to come in, grab a box, and to donate to kids in over 160 different countries.
Our second activity is customer testimonial videos. These videos would feature customers' thoughts and experiences with Vantage Bank. These would be showcased on social media such as Facebook and Instagram, and also on the website. Our third activity is highlighted online reviews. These would be reviews that show Vantage Bank's great customer service and knowledge in the industry. These would be featured on Vantage Bank's website.
Our fourth activity is implementing a customer incentive program where current customers of Vantage Bank will be able to refer, say, a close friend or a family member to the bank. And if they open up one new account, both participants will receive a cash value of $50. This will then boost revenue for the business as well as gain new customer base.
For our fifth activity, customer newsletters and emails will be sent out to all the customers wishing them a happy birthday or a happy holiday. This will give them a better understanding that show them that Vantage is not just a bank, they are a family.
Our sixth activity, Then and Now of Vantage Bank, is a video of Jeff Montgomery describing the rich history of Vantage Bank of over 100 years, all the way from being founded in 1902 to their recent growth today, which includes their new building.
Our seventh activity is setting up an ATM at the Alexandria Technical and Community College, to where students, like say PSEO students or current attending college students, will be able to have that free service available to them. This will reach to the younger demographic before they ultimately choose a bank that they'll be with for the rest of their lives, because everybody knows every cent counts for the dinner that night.
For our last activity, Vantage Bank employees will come into various finance-type classes in the high school to help kids better understand the industry and finance as a whole. This might make kids lean towards going into finance as a career path, or it just might help them in the future with their personal use.
We then developed a timeline for our activities, spanning from August of 2020, when the email marketing and incentive program starts, to December, when the Your Bank Around the World is introduced. Having this timeline, we were able to establish some key metrics to be able to measure our activity success.
Each proposed activity has a measurement from, say, like a total percentage of growth or the number of participants that are in each activity. They are measured from poor to excellent range, and we are able to take all these metrics to create a cost-effective budget.
For our proposed budget, we split it up into 4 main groups, from community events, social media and email marketing, web design, and an online customer base, which totals up to about $20,000.
For our customer lifetime value, we started out by taking the total amounts for deposits and loans. We then did math down the road to calculate a lifetime value for each section. And then adding both of them together gave us a total customer lifetime value. Having a customer lifetime value, we were able to calculate our return on investment.
The return on investment, or ROI, is calculated to gain the total revenue from the implemented plan that we stated earlier. That revenue is subtracted from the cost to get the total ROI of that, and then the ROI percentage, which was valued at 1,572%. In conclusion, in the wise words of C.S. Lewis, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. This ties in with Vantage Bank's values and how they actually treat their customers. It also ties in with their slogan. Remember how banking used to be? We do. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Nice job. Can you guys go back and put that Carson Wentz photo back up? You don't really have to, actually. Just curious, on the ATM at the Tech College, are students still distributing cash back and forth with the applications of Venmo and stuff like that? Do you see that being a strong need?
So, through online services like Venmo, that is accessible, but the ATM is mainly to just get the brand awareness out there for Vantage. So, when students are going through, they can see that Vantage Bank is actually like established there, and then with the implementation of the classroom connections, they can, when they actually go to the college, they might be going to that Alec Tech actually, and then they'll be able to see that Vantage Bank is serviced there as well, and they'll create incentive for them to actually go towards Vantage Bank.
Good idea. Did you ask Jeff and the gang over at Vantage how they've grown at 21%? What activities have they done to obtain that growth?
So with our initial meeting with them, we talked about just having great customer service, treating your customers like family, and just having good business. which leads to just overall great growth.
I mean, they got fancy water bottles too, so that's pretty cool.
Just a suggestion, maybe with Jeff, instead of having a video, just a radio ad.
I mean, I could barely tell the difference between him and Carson Wentz. I mean, come on.
Nice job, guys.
Thank you.
All right, and then our next group is Legacy of the Lakes Museum. So give a big round of applause to Cade Blankenship, Will Moga, and Ethan Schroeder.
Test. Test. Test.
Legacy of the Lakes is a local museum and event center based right here in Alexandria. It has been providing rich history and exhibits of what has been going on in this community and what this area has been about. We want people to create their legacy with Legacy of the Lakes. My name is Cade Blankenship, and these are my partners Ethan Schroeder and Will Moga, and this is our Create Your Legacy Business Operations Research with Legacy of the Lakes. The problem with Legacy as of now is that they recently went through a rebranding process back in 2016. They went from Minnesota Lakes Maritime Museum to Legacy of the Lakes Museum. We want this to be a market strategy for them in order to implement into the future. Right now, they added a new gardens venue into their new rebranding and want this to be a focus of their social media utilization. Their social media underuse has been a struggle in the past and needs to be fixed for the future.
To summarize what we're going to go throughout this presentation, we're going to start off with the research goals. Next, we're going to move into the secondary and primary research. Third, we're going to go into the findings. Then we're going to touch over the research conclusions, proposed activities, key metrics, and finally we'll end off with the budget.
So starting with our research goals, we had two goals to start off our secondary and primary research. The first being to gather qualitative and quantitative data regarding the potential market and audience for the boat museum and special events. The second research goal that we came up with was to identify the attitudes and perceptions of current legacy sponsors and customers. This would help us create an online brand presence for Legacy.
For the secondary research, we had 4 credible sources. The first credible source is going to be the Alexandria Area Fact Book. This government source gave us insight on the demographics of Alexandria, Minnesota. Our second credible source is going to be the 18 Sneaking Ways to Build Brand Awareness. This article gave us insight on building brand awareness for small businesses. Our third credible source is going to be the Trust, Reputation, in the Small Firm. This article gave us insight on building online brand reputation. And our fourth source is going to be building online brands through brand alliances, and this gave us insight on just brand alliances.
So moving on to our secondary research findings, we had 4 articles and we came up with 4 conclusions for each of the articles. Our first conclusion came from the Alexandria Area Fact Book, and that was that businesses form target markets based on the area, and that there is a discrepancy income to spend among households. Going on to our second article, which was the blog article about brand alliances, we had brand alliances allow for a better representation of 2 businesses. Moving on to our third article, which is a scholarly article about online brand reputation, We concluded that social media is necessary for building an online brand presence. Finally, going into our fourth article, which was the scholarly article about social media, we said that Legacy needs to provide guest content on their website and social media.
For primary research, we had three main objectives that we had. First, we had surveys, and then we went at 2 interviews that we conducted, and then we had a comparison of social media and website comparison with 2 local direct competitors. So first, we had a general public survey that was given out at the fall musical here at Alexandria Area High School. This was given out to 86 people who came and were able to fill it out. From this, we were able to identify that Legacy has a very poor net promoter score among the community, which means that they're very unfamiliar with people around and what they do, which needs to be improved for the future. And then we gave out a customer survey, which was given out to people who have previously used the venue and who have previously been donating or have used the museum in the past. What we found is that there needs to be more staff available for people to use and utilize when these events are going on. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to identify what they need or what's going on with these events. Also, few people actually know about what events are going on within the community. So getting these events out to the community will draw more people to using our venue and actually know what's going on with our events.
Moving on to the second step of our primary research, we interviewed 2 employees at Legacy of the Lakes. First, Carol Swenson, who's the executive director at Legacy of the Lakes. During our interview with her, we discussed the generalities of Legacy as a business. One quote that we pulled from our interview is that we have an established customer base within Alexandria, meaning that they already have a customer base within Alexandria, but they want to grow on that with our project. Next, we interviewed Casey Corcoran-Peterson, who is the events coordinator at Legacy of the Lakes. During our interview with Casey, we discussed the several events that they have during the year with Legacy. One quote that we pulled from our interview with her is that there are many events hosted at Legacy, hopefully more in the future, which means that they already have a decent amount of events planned for next year, but with our project, they want to grow on that.
Next, we'll move into the social media and website comparisons between 2 local businesses in Alexandria, Minnesota and Legacy. First, we'll start off with Gathered Oaks, their social media page compared to Legacy's social media page. Gathered Oaks has more of a following on every single social media platform. We believe this is because of the organization and the posting schedule that they're following. We are planning to incorporate that in Legacy's moving forward. Now comparing the Runestone Museum's website to Legacy of the Lakes website. The Runestone Museum has a time calendar showing the events and what the events are on every single day that they have them for their customers. We'd like to implement this into Legacy's website just so that there's more of an understanding on what's happening.
Next, we have 4 main conclusions that we gained from these research findings. First is that the lack of staffing really hurts the people that are actually attending these events and needs to be utilized in the future in order to gain more events that we actually have at Legacy. Second is the social media use and utilization. There needs to be a better, more effective way that we can utilize social media for our future of Legacy. And third is we need to have a focus and a more effective marketing campaign with our project in order to create an advertising that would be able to focus among people in this area. And fourth, we have a cluttered and disorganized website, which we'd like to improve for Legacy so we can have it organized and more focused on what they want to do as a business. Next, we have our proposed activities, which we want to have our focus around our new slogan that we came up with, which is Create Your Legacy. This will be a focus for our activities and what we want to do with our future. First, we'll have $100 for incentives that we give out to people who leave reviews on our business. This will be 5 gift cards given out to the first, or $5 gift cards given out to the first 20 people who actually leave reviews on our business. Next will be $4,000 used on boosted posts for Facebook and Instagram in the future. This will be spread out throughout these posts in the future. And what boosted posts are is that you're putting money into posts so more people view them on your platforms.
Moving on to our first activity, we have the website remodel. Right now, Legacy has a very unorganized and cluttered website from the guest point of view. Using CyberSprout, we were able to create a new website which makes it clear, concise, and organized. This would cost about $1,000 through an estimate with CyberSprout.
Moving on to our second activity, we have the social media moment backdrop with the hashtag Create Your Legacy slogan on it. We were planning on making 3 backdrops and having them in the gardens, which is the venue at Legacy of the Lakes, for while the events and the weddings are happening. This is going to also increase the amount of traffic in our social media, and this is estimated to be $2,225 used on materials to make the backdrops.
Our third activity would be a Google My Business account, which currently Legacy does not utilize, which is important to gaining general information about the business and is able to leave reviews for people and know what actually people think of our business. And this will be a free activity for us to use in the future.
Moving on to our 4th activity, we have the social media organization. Currently, Legacy's posts on Instagram are fun facts and statistics about local boats and museums. So if we use a social media calendar, we'll be able to schedule each post with an effective way to advertise their business to the customer. This will cost absolutely nothing because it's done through the business.
And with our 5th proposed activity, we're searching for an event setup and a content manager. After the interview with Casey, we realized that they're wasting time and money just having one person set up all the events and weddings, so adding another one would be essential to save on time and money. And they can also manage the social media posts. And we looked at a part-time for an event setup manager, and that's going to be about $10,000 annually.
Next, our 6th activity would be a billboard campaign, which we would post 2 billboards, one right outside of Minneapolis area and one right outside the Fargo-Moorhead area. This will allow us to expand our market into just outside our local community, but we also want to have a focus on our community as well, which is why we'll have one posted in Alexandria area as well. So in total, this would be about $7,500 for all 3 billboards to be placed in these areas and created.
Our final activity will be an event marketing video. This video will be posted on all of the social media that Legacy utilizes today. It would be a video that displays the potential that their current spaces have to offer and what it has to come. This will cost around $3,500, and it would be $3,500 to hire an editor and a cameraman for this video.
To summarize all the activities we've just stated, we have the activity planning cycle. As you can see, in week 1 through week 6, we have social media implemented in every week. And we also do start with the backdrop and the free Google My Business account week 1. And then week 2, we do add the website redesign and the marketing video.
In weeks 3 and 4, we add our search for our event manager, which we want to start. And then in week 4, we start our generating reviews in order to gain insight to what we actually do as a business.
Going on to week 5 and 6, we start the billboard campaign, we finish with the marketing video, and we continue to do social media and generate reviews. Going on to key metrics, we took all of our activities that we summarized before, and we put them into a table, and then we added a unit to each of them. The unit could go from % of new customers reached to number of reviews gained, and then after that, we measured the effectiveness of each activity that we want for the future of Legacy.
Next, we want to end on our budget. Our budget would mostly be taken up by this content manager, but this is a huge part of our business. It's an opportunity we can create more events and have more weddings on our events as a whole. And in total, from all of our activities, we would have a cost of about $28,850. And from this, we had a projected new clients that we would gain from our activities, and we'd have a total revenue of $221,687 from all this. Finally, we took one more calculation in order to do our ROI. From our ROI, we had an estimated 660% gain, which is a reasonable goal with these activities that we put in place from the gain new customers. With Legacy, we want to be able to go into the next generation and be a part of this Alexandria community for the generations to come and be a part of this area forever. We want all of you to create your legacy. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
With it being a strong economy, as far as finding an event manager or a setup manager and content manager, is that realistic in your opinion, to be able to find somebody that can wear multiple hats for $10,000 a year?
I mean, this could be an internship with an Alexandria community college student. They're always looking for jobs and ways to make money while they're in college, so this would be a great opportunity for them to get experience into a new business while also maintaining their ways with college and what they have going on.
And then, targeting weddings and things like that, is there a vacancy rate right now? Is it, Friday, Saturday nights, is it pretty occupied already, or is it a lot of room for your projected growth?
There's a lot of room for projected growth. We do have some weddings already planned out and established weddings on certain days, but weekends are the most established for wedding days. But there is a lot of room to expand with these new events and weddings coming in as an opportunity.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
Test, test, testing.
Please welcome onto the stage Alamere Health with Graham Peterson, Meg Shercliffe, and Reese Stallman.
My name is Meg Shercliffe, and ever since I started binge watching Grey's Anatomy, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. All jokes aside, I truly do love healthcare and how it brings everyone together and is an important part through everyone's lives. This relevant and long-standing connection led me and my partners, Graham Peterson and Reese Stallman, to partner with our local health hospital, Alamere Health, with the goal of improving health through every stage of life.
Now, as many of you know, Alamere Health is a general medical facility located here in the heart of Alexandria, Minnesota. Alright, we're good. Formerly known as Douglas County Hospital, Alamere rebranded in 2018 to be more representative of the over 150 zip codes that it serves. Alamere has received national recognition as being a top 100 rural hospital according to Advantage Health. Because of this, Alamere is the premier healthcare facility within West Central Minnesota, boasting exceptional services such as Heartland Orthopedics, a dermatology clinic, a robotic surgery program, and also a birth center.
Despite all that Alamere has to offer, there's still mixed feelings about the organization within the community. For example, these 2 current Google reviews. This is because there's still confusion surrounding the name change and a lack of knowledge on the extent of services that Alamere provides. Alamere is also in direct competition with Sanford, a large corporate healthcare system. Sanford dominates the industry in online assets, an area where Alamere could use improvement.
After evaluating areas of improvement for Alamere, we created 2 guiding questions to help us set up our research. The first guiding question is, what is Alamere's current reputation within the community? Our second guiding question was, what is Alamere's current online brand presence? Using these 2 guiding questions, we created an over-encompassing research goal to widen Alamere's current patient base by increasing patient satisfaction and optimizing online assets.
Now, in order to kick off our project, we conducted secondary research. First, we looked at government sources, including information provided by the U.S. Census and also the Douglas County Factbook. This information provided us insight onto current populations and age demographics within Douglas County. We then looked at a medical journal published by the Mayo Clinic. This journal explored a rise in the healthcare industry known as telehealth or online healthcare and its projections and implications it could reach in the near future. Next, we looked at various internet sources. These internet sources explain the nature of rebranding and how to rebrand efficiently and effectively. And finally, we were provided with corporate documents from Alamere Health, which consisted of insights on employee satisfaction from the past 6 years, as well as the process of rebranding. Now, in order to get the most out of our secondary research, we devised 3 main takeaways from this set of sources. Our first takeaway being that in order for a rebrand to be well received and successful in the community that it's in, every process and application must be uniform and must be the same. Our second key takeaway is that there's a growing population of baby boomers within Douglas County, and that population is expected to increase in the next 10 years. And our final key takeaway is that telehealth is increasing in popularity within the healthcare industry. The medical journal spoke to the fact that we live in a digital age, and in order for businesses to be successful in this age, they must offer online assets such as telehealth.
Following our secondary research, we began to conduct primary research. Conducting our primary research led us to meet many different people and travel to many different places in order to obtain reliable information. The 3 forms of primary research we used were interviews, a survey, and 2 different focus groups. First, in-person interviews were conducted with 3 different professionals in order to gain insight on online brand presence and reputation. We first traveled to the Sanford Medical Center facility in Fargo to meet with Sanford's lead marketing specialist, Scott Sealer. Through this interview, we collected information on the growing trends in the healthcare industry and how to capitalize on them. We also gained insight on the operations of a competitor's facility. The biggest takeaway from this interview was that Sanford doesn't have a general target market, they have specific markets for each of their services. Next, we met with Tyler Goldberg, lead web developer at Cybersprout. In our interview with Tyler Goldberg, he took us through a complete audit of Alamere's website. Following the audit, we found that Alamere's website was not ADA compliant, meaning that it was not accessible to people with visual impairments, which is a huge issue, especially for a healthcare facility. Next, we found that Alamere's page had over 180 dead links, or links that did not lead to a corresponding page. And finally, we found that Alamere's website was not mobile friendly, which is a large issue considering most people view the page via a smartphone.
Now lastly, throughout the duration of our project, we kept in close contact with Eddie Reif, Director of Community Relations at Alamere, and Carl Wagner, CEO of Alamere, to ensure that their needs were being met. They provided us with data and information regarding the current populations and target markets that Alamere markets to, and also the processes and reasoning behind the rebrand.
We created and administered a survey to 320 members of the community to answer our guiding question about Alamere's reputation. Through this survey, we were able to determine Alamere and Sanford's net promoter scores. As you can see, there isn't a large discrepancy between the two, but they both fall well below the national average of 47. We also determined a discrepancy between the number of people interested in telehealth and the number of people that knew Alamere offered the service. As you can see, 70% of people are interested, but only 30% of people know that Alamere offers e-clinic visits.
Now, throughout our research process, we organized and conducted 2 different focus groups. Our first focus group encompassed Alamere's current target market, consisting of women aged 18 to 54 from Geneva Capital. In this focus group, participants were asked to rate the overall appeal of Alamere's website compared to its competitors. As you can see, Alamere ranked last in all 3 categories, including homepage appeal, mobile device friendliness, and ease of use. Our next focus group consisted of an older population of baby boomers from Canute Nelson. From this focus group, we learned that the main health concern of an older population is actually falling, and that they would also appreciate an extension of appointment time so that their questions and concerns are being addressed.
Following the completion of both secondary and primary research, our group created 3 main conclusions. The first conclusion is that baby boomers are a large and rapidly growing demographic in Douglas County and need to be marketed to differently than Alamere's current target market. Our second conclusion is that patient satisfaction is key in gauging patient retention as well as quality of care. Our third and final conclusion is that digital resources and digital marketing are increasing in popularity and is essential for healthcare organizations to utilize.
Now, due to our findings, we wanted to create a campaign that would address the mentioned conclusions. Because of this, we devised a 5-month campaign titled the Here for Life Initiative, consisting of 10 total proposed activities.
The first letter in LIFE stands for launch. We want to launch a patient-centered care approach that will increase patient satisfaction and Alamere's overall reputation. Our first activity involves increasing appointment duration time. This increase will allow patients, especially members of the baby boomer generation, to express their questions and concerns to an LPN. This ensures that their voices are being heard and valued. Our second activity involves providing more information on doctors. This marketing activity will foster relationships between providers and patients, increasing not only the quality of care, but the reputation of Alamere's services. Our final activity places an emphasis on monthly employee meetings. Valuing employees and giving them say on daily operation increases employee satisfaction, therefore increasing the care employees give and the overall reputation of Alamere's workforce.
The second letter in the LIFE acronym is I, which stands for increase. Through this objective, we plan to increase the size of Alamere's current patient base by marketing more activities to the baby boomer population. Our first activity involves partnering with the Alexandria Technical and Community College Senior College to provide senior seminars. In these classes, Alamere providers will teach an older population how to lead healthy lifestyles as they age. This also will be a prime opportunity for Alamere to market its services. The next activity ventures into the idea of Alamere opening an assisted living facility. Now, this activity is much more costly than the other ones and should be viewed as a future goal for Alamere. Assisted living is a growing need in Alexandria and is currently dominated by one competitor, Canute Nelson, who owns over 90% of the market share. Additionally, Alamere's biggest competitor, Sanford, recently bought an assisted living facility in Battle Lake. This activity will give Alamere a competitive edge in a largely untapped market. Our third and final activity of increase is for Alamere to sponsor Navigating Healthcare Keynotes. These presentations will take place in the high school PAC and will be given to high school students. The Alamere providers will teach students how to navigate healthcare as they become an adult, featuring information on how to pick a primary healthcare provider and also how to choose an insurance plan.
Now the next letter of LIFE, F, stands for facilitate. Specifically, we want to facilitate awareness of Alamere's exceptional services to improve their current promotional mix. Alamere offers the people of West Central Minnesota services comparative to no other healthcare facility. Because of this, they are worth being invested in. This leads us to our first proposed activity of facilitate, and is to incorporate video marketing into Alamere's current promotional mix. Videos depicting state-of-the-art services such as 3D mammograms and the Mako surgical system will pique the interest of the public and also reinforce Alamere's presence within the community. Our second proposed activity of facilitate is for Alamere to complete their rebrand process. Alamere is slowly cycling out Douglas County Hospital branded materials such as uniforms and signage, as well as Google My Business characteristics. If Alamere continues this trend in cycling out these branded materials, they will maintain the uniformity that they need to alleviate any possible confusion within the community.
The final letter of LIFE stands for enhance. We wish to enhance Alamere's current online assets. To do this, we will be performing extensive online updates that will increase accessibility to groups such as the visually impaired. These website updates will also increase mobile device capabilities and overall efficiency. The final proposed activity increases marketing done for e-clinic visits. E-clinics are seen as the future of healthcare, and by promoting these activities, Alamere will be able to reach patients from farther distances and reach patients that are busy lifestyles. In order to gauge the success of the Here for Life initiative, several key metrics will be evaluated. First, an ROI of 250 to 300% must be obtained for the initiative to be profitable. Next, there should be growth in online traffic, such as social media and with e-clinic visits. And finally, not only patient satisfaction, but provider satisfaction should increase as a result of quality care being given.
Now, many aspects of the campaign, such as the rebrand process, are already included into Alamere's yearly budget. Those aspects that are not, however, mostly lie in marketing costs, salaries and wages, and updating costs of online assets. As you can see, a total of roughly $199,100 should be allocated for the duration of the 5-month campaign and should be reevaluated if necessary during the 6th month of the fiscal year.
To determine the number of people that will switch providers, we took the current Douglas County population times the non-Alamere market share. Now we can assume that not everyone would switch providers, even though that would be ideal. To determine the number that will actually switch, we took the current number of non-Alamere patients that are unhappy with their healthcare facilities. It was determined that this initiative would bring in over 2,000 new patients, and at an average cost of $108 per clinic visit and 3.36 visits a year, the Here for Life initiative will bring in over $800,000 in revenue for an ROI of 303%.
As the iconic entrepreneur Malcolm S. Forbes once said, presence is more than just being there. With our planned initiative, Alamere Health will do more than just be there. They'll be here for life. Thank you. Any questions?
Great job up there, you three. Very nicely done. Really, my only comment would be big picture. I think the suggestion, the idea, which I praise your bravery for Alamir to move off into senior health care facility living and management. That's a long, long bridge. So I'm not sure going into state competition, that's something you might just want to think about it and debate it, and maybe you can get some feedback from Alamir on that as well.
You make an excellent point. We just wanted to go off of what our research findings found and also what competitors were currently doing.
Might be a great opportunity. I'm sure that there's already some partnership there with Canute, but to really strengthen that partnership and evolve it, as there's so many synergies.
Definitely.
Any further questions?
Yeah, thank you guys. You did a tremendous job, and thank you for spending all the time with Alamir Health over the past 5 months. And certainly the information you've provided with us is going to be useful for us. We're already implementing some of these ideas and objectives, and others will be down the road for us as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Check 1, 2.
Testing, check 1, 2.
Please welcome to the stage the Cardinal Athletic Foundation with Anna Zwilling and Ethan Patience.
I want you to think back to some of your best high school memories. This may include your friends, your teammates. For many of you, it's the sports you participated in that resonate the most.
Whether it's scoring a basket or the team bus rides home, sports creates memories that last a lifetime. However, with these memories come skills such as collaboration, teamwork, and perseverance that can be used far past high school sporting experiences.
Alexandria has done an incredible job providing student athletes the environment to learn and to grow. However, what many people don't know is that the Cardinal Athletic Foundation has been just as active in supporting this environment as well. I'm Anna Zwilling.
And I'm Ethan Patience.
And we are very excited to present the CAF initiative, our plan to improve the online presence and brand reputation of the Cardinal Athletic Foundation.
Over this presentation, Anna and I will talk about what the Cardinal Athletic Foundation is, our research, which includes our goals, methods, implementations, conclusions, and findings, ultimately leading to the strategic plan of the CAF initiative that will help improve the Cardinal Athletic Foundation's online presence and brand reputation. So, what is the Cardinal Athletic Foundation, or CAF? Founded in 1994, the Cardinal Athletic Foundation had the goal of improving every high school athlete's sporting experience. Currently, they sit on a $500,000 endowment fund that they work to maintain through the Capistrati Memorial Golf Tournament and the Homecoming Football Tailgate event that is hosted every single year at the homecoming game.
One of the many positives of the CAF is how actively involved they are in the community. They feature 13 volunteer board members who work tirelessly to gain capital for the foundation and make contributions to Alexandria athletics. They donated the turf field outside as well as donated for an expansion of the gymnasium. They also provide tangible amenities such as jerseys, basketballs, and much more. Where the CAF lacks is in its online presence. As a volunteer, it can be hard to balance raising money for the foundation, but still trying to keep up on social media. However, this has not inhibited them from staying true to their brand of investing in today's student athletes and equipping tomorrow's community leaders.
Moving into our research, it was important that we kept two main goals in mind. The first being to attain a community perception of the Cardinal Athletic Foundation, and the second is to understand how to improve an organization's online brand reputation. This was important because we wanted to make sure that we followed the goals of our project, but wanted to pick activities that resonated well with our community.
We segmented our research into primary and secondary research, both of which we will touch on now in our findings.
Starting with secondary research, we started with a website analysis of the Cardinal Athletic Foundation's current website and compared it to other user-friendly websites to see how it stacks up and compares. Second, we moved into reading the How to Build a Better Booster Club, where we got to evaluate the Cardinal Athletic Foundation in comparison to one of the largest and most successful high school booster clubs in the state of Texas. From this article, we also learned about the umbrella method, where a large booster club, such as the Cardinal Athletic Foundation, oversees and contributes to multiple sport-specific donations instead of meeting every sport's individual needs per donation. Next, we moved into looking at the Douglas County Fact Book, where we got to learn about our parent demographic of ages 30 to 50, and to realize what demographic and platforms would resonate the best with them for our activities.
Moving on to our primary research findings, we started out with 3 interviews. Our first interview was with Tyler Goldberg, owner of Cybersprout and a website design expert. While looking at the CAF website, he made it clear to us that social media is the best way to direct internet traffic to your website. He said that if we could get a good handle on our social media pages, we could ultimately draw more users to our website and gain more donations. Our second interview was with Andrea Tripp, current CAF board member. She shared with us that the foundation would like to raise their brand awareness by making contributions that could help many sports and many athletes, not just one specific sport. Finally, we met with Ben Kavit, the high school's athletic director. He shared with us about his time in Malacca. Malacca has a booster club that is similar to the Cardinal Athletic Foundation and is actually run under the umbrella method that we had found in our research. He said that it was very successful in Malacca and reassured us that it would be very successful here as well. Moving on to our primary research for focus groups, we conducted our first focus group with athlete parents. And this was found that many athletes' parents would like to know and be informed of the Cardinal Athletic Foundation's contributions. They are always going to do whatever they can to support their student athletes, and if supporting the Cardinal Athletic Foundation is the best way to do that, they would be more than happy to help. We also conducted a focus group with varsity head coaches. They shared with us that each of their sports tend to have a specific booster club who can cover smaller costs. So if the CAF could cover larger costs that could benefit multiple sports, they would be in favor of that.
Moving into our survey findings, this provided a great starting point for us to understand how our project can help improve the Cardinal Athletic Foundation. Currently, 70% of the Alexandria community knows about the Cardinal Athletic Foundation, but looking in athletes specifically, only 30% of the athletes that they support are aware of the foundation. Looking onto their contributions, only 29% of the community as a whole is aware of what they've contributed, such as the football field and the turf, or the expansion in space in the new gyms. Also, only 12% of the Alexandria community has visited the website, the best place to learn about what the Cardinal Athletic Foundation is and what they do.
One of our most exciting forms of research was a social media experiment that we were able to conduct. We did a series of test posts on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. From this, it was found that Facebook gathered the most number of responses, with each post gathering around 4,000 impressions. We were also able to gain 20 new friend requests every single post every day, and in total, over our research, gained over 1,000 friends. We also found that posts including current student athletes as well as game results gathered the most responses and shares in our community. While Instagram and Twitter didn't gather the same number of responses, it was still a great way for us to start connecting to a younger demographic. This has all led us to 4 main conclusions. The first one being that a website update and more social media content is crucial for the Cardinal Athletic Foundation to start building their online presence. Secondly, the Alexandria is unaware of what the CAF does and any of their contributions. Third, they need to better resonate with their athletes, as this is what is stated in their brand. And finally, the umbrella method for the Cardinal Athletic Foundation would be a great way for them to benefit multiple sports and overall improve their brand. This has all led us to the CAF initiative. The CAF initiative is a plan to improve the online presence and brand reputation of the Cardinal Athletic Foundation currently, annually, as well as in the future.
The initiative has 4 main goals. The first being to increase traffic on all online platforms. The second being to inform the community of what the Cardinal Athletic Foundation does and what they have contributed to. The third being to create a stronger athlete connection, because those are the people that we support within our community. And the fourth is to create a clear role for the Cardinal Athletic Foundation in the future as a booster club. Starting with what they can do currently, there's 3 activities. The first being a website revamp. As you can see, the old website is outdated, very wordy, and not user-friendly. We believe that an updated, user-friendly website would be able to bring more people to the website where they can learn more about the Cardinal Athletic Foundation and ultimately donate. Second, a quarterly newsletter is recommended to be sent out to all past Cardinal Athletic Foundation donors, or to anyone who simply is intrigued by Cardinal Athletics or what the Cardinal Athletic Foundation is doing. But most importantly, the Cardinal Athletic Foundation needs to be present on social media. As you can see by this plan, we put a lot of weight on Facebook because that is the demographic that is the platform that our demographic resonates the best with. But we feel it's important to make sure that we are still on Instagram and Twitter to connect with our athlete demographic at the same time.
Moving on to annual activities, we recommend sports captains and Booster Club presidents interactions. This would be where the board members meet annually with these athletic leaders to make sure that we are creating a stronger connection with them and making sure that the CAF is aware of what they can best do to help each sport. This can also be done through a continuous student survey where we will ask students if they are aware of the Cardinal Athletic Foundation and also gain their input on what they think the CAF can do to best support them and Alexandria athletics as a whole. Finally, we recommend that they label every single donated item that the CAF has donated to and that they will donate to. This is to simply make sure that the community is well aware of what the CAF does and what they have done for Alexandria athletics.
Looking into the future, the Alexandria community has a lot to be excited about for the Cardinal Athletic Foundation. We are recommending that the installation of a Jumbotron out in the stadium is a fantastic and big way to meet all 4 main goals of our project. The first being the prominent logo on the top of the Jumbotron would show the community what the Cardinal Athletic Foundation is contributing to and how they're helping their athletes. The second being the student class connection, where students can learn how to make sport-specific videos and understand how to run the Jumbotron. This ultimately ends up being a win-win for the Cardinal Athletic Foundation because this content that is created by students can now be used to be posted on their social media, on the Jumbotron, and on their website. Fourth, this establishes the role of the Cardinal Athletic Foundation as a future booster club, for this contribution helps football, soccer, track, and many other sports. But most importantly, this brings in revenue to the Cardinal Athletic Foundation. As you can see through our tier advertising system, $10,000 per year advertisements would be sold and put on the right side of the screen that will permanently be showed. Tier 2 advertisements would be $2,000 per year that would be on the main screen that would be shown before sporting events. And Tier 3 advertisements would be $1,500 per year, where it would be a sponsorship of one sporting game, which would sponsor either touchdowns for a football game, goals for a soccer game, and much more.
Our advertisements will be sold on a 5-year cycle, so in total over 5 years, this will be in about $330,000 in revenue. This is a set income and it will never fluctuate. We have also projected about a $64,000 of revenue from projected donors. We have our projected number up here, as well as the donation amount of $50, which is how we have got this number. Overall, over 5 years, the CAF initiative will bring in around $400,000 of revenue.
Diving into our expenses a little bit more, as you can see in the first year, it is a very cost-heavy project with the Jumbotron being purchased. But moving past that first year, annual costs drop drastically. Also, on the far right side of the screen, you can see how our activities are projected to bring in donors. We believe that it was important for us to create activities that would resonate with many people, so it was not only all online or all just with the Jumbotron, so we could reach people at their preferred point. In total, we believe that every single year of the CAF initiative, it will bring in a new annual donor amount of 255 donors.
Overall, after the first year of this implementation, we will be at a negative 76% ROI. This is mainly because of the large upfront cost of the Jumbotron. However, if you look into the 5 years, when we gain our total 5-year amount of advertising revenue, we will be at about a 15.8% ROI. If you look into the next 5 years, the Jumbotron will be completely paid off, and our revenue will solely be from these advertisements. This would be at an over 4,000% ROI. And in total over these 10 years, it'll be 126% ROI, all of which will continuously go back into Alexandria athletics.
We are confident that with the implementation of the CAF initiative, Cardinal athletes will be able to benefit from the Cardinal Athletic Foundation far into the future. Not only will this improve their current sporting experience, but it can take today's current athletes and push them to be tomorrow's community leaders. Thank you, and do you have any questions?
Anna and Ethan, fantastic job up there. Yeah, just a great overall presentation. Your presence is second to none. Can you guys go back to the total expenses of $333,000? So that's an accumulation of, I think there's a way to do it that's going to cost a lot less than $333,000. And again, this is more forethought, preparing you guys for state and international. That can be a lot less than that through some silver, gold, platinum level going to alma mater individuals, and then also doing the same concept of silver, gold, platinum sponsorship levels, donors levels within the corporate community of Alexandria. I think you could raise a lot of dollars doing that, and I do recognize you had the tiering out there, which was really good.
Yeah, we actually had a chance to sit down with some CAF board members, including Anna Zad, who's a former member, and they brought up the idea of just a drive to build funds for the scoreboard before even going out to sell advertisements. And so, even though it's not included in this presentation, we do have an understanding of how to make that even less.
Great.
Yeah, great job, guys. First off, thanks a lot for all that you've done so far. I appreciate it. And let's build the Jumbotron.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much.
Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2. Check.
All right, and then our final group today is the Dashery. So please give a warm welcome to Chance Thompson, Nick Schneider,
All right, we're good. Alexandria is very well known for having a very historic local business background. But with many businesses such as Herberger's, Randy's Menswear, and others alike closing in recent years, we need to work in order to have these other local businesses thrive within our community. And why wouldn't you want a business like the Dashery to be thriving in your community when they can make somebody go from looking like this to looking like this? Now, all jokes aside, for time purposes, my name is Chance Thompson. I'm Mitch Floden. And I'm Nate Schneider. And we created the Look Great, Feel Great campaign for our business merchandising operations research project in order to better the Dashery's overall social media and online brand presence, as well as effectively cementing them as a strong, stable local business within our community. Before we begin, we would like to bring you over a little summary of what we will be going over today. Beginning with our problem, moving into objectives, SWOT analysis, research findings and conclusions, moving to our proposed activities, a timeline for those activities, as well as budget, key metrics, customer lifetime value, finally ending with our return on investment.
The Dashery does a great job at providing professional tailoring, accessories, and menswear. However, they are underutilizing their social media platforms and website, causing customers to go towards online competitors and failing to reach a younger demographic.
Now to combat this problem, we came up with 4 different objectives. Our first objective being to integrate an effective online store to increase website traffic and SEO. Our second objective was to optimize social media and increase promotional activities on active online platforms.
Moving to our third objective, we want to partner with local businesses and organizations in order to create community outreach, as many other local businesses do. And our fourth objective is to invest in market-specific advertising in order to allow the Dashery to effectively reach its specific target markets.
A SWOT analysis was conducted prior to research to determine the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that Dashery might face. As far as strengths go, there's a lack of local competition. This is due to the recent closings of Herberger's and Randy's Menswear. On top of that, a strong core team, the willingness to adapt to market needs, as well as strong customer service and retention were also found.
Moving into some of the weaknesses, on top of the fact that they don't have an online store, they have low staff numbers, which makes campaigns like this hard to orchestrate themselves. In addition to that, being that they moved to Alexandria just recently in 2018, they have a lack of local brand awareness that is really hurting them.
And as for opportunities, there are dozens. This includes brand ambassadors, community partnerships, trade shows, and wedding expos.
As of right now, the Dashery does not have many threats, but some include online competitors such as Indochino and Suit Supply, increased tariffs on goods and inventory, as well as new local competitors that could emerge in the future.
Moving into our research methods, we created a diverse group of methodologies that include surveys, focus groups, interviews, social media audit, a website analysis, and extensive secondary research.
To begin with our survey findings, a survey for Dashery customers was conducted. In this, it was asked what the top priorities were when shopping. What was found was customer service, item selection, as well as trying on clothing before purchasing were the top priorities. This is directly related to why the majority of the Dashery customers choose to shop in-store versus online.
Looking at our public survey, it was found that a majority of respondents said that they were unfamiliar with the Dashery's Instagram, Facebook, and website. When asked on familiarity on a scale of 1 through 5, it was also noted that 3/4 of the participants said that community involvement was a heavy influence in deciding what store they shop at.
From there, we decided to conduct 2 different focus groups, first being a teenage-based focus group. This focus group was held at the digital marketing class at the Alexandria Area High School with the help of the Dashery's owner, Randy Brower. Within this, the teams within the class were divided into groups and tasked with looking at the various social media platforms as well as the Dashery website and providing feedback and trying to figure out different ways that they can improve these. The main takeaway from here is that of these young online shoppers, they do choose to shop online rather than in-store, especially when customer service and fit is really not a concern. Moving on to a focus group held at the Dashery with their employees who are also avid customers of the Dashery, it was found they believe that a stronger focus should be put on social media content creation that focuses specifically on targeting a younger demographic in order to bring in that demographic to the store.
We had the privilege to interview 3 experts in this industry. First being Mark Schaefer, Mall of America store manager for the online suiting juggernaut known as Indochino. When speaking with Schaefer, he mentioned Indochino's use of online influencers and how that has helped bring more customers to the website. On top of that, he noted that when a company has a store and a website to buy from, an omni-channel marketing strategy is the best option. This allows customers to choose when and where they want to shop, whether it be online or in-store.
Moving to our second interview, we interviewed Marcia Indrisa of Kindred People. And she is the social media manager for Kindred People, which is a very successful local women's clothing store. She noted that consistency and market-specific advertising is a very important aspect of creating a local brand presence both online and in person. Additionally, she noted that connecting with your customers your followers on social media is integral in making sure that your business has a strong social media brand presence.
And our third interview that we did was with Noah Style, the manager of Men's Warehouse located in St. Cloud. Through this, he talked about chat menus and the testing of them. Through this, we found out that most personal customer support online provides a unique and positive experience.
A social media audit of the Dashery was conducted, mainly focusing on Instagram due to its higher popularity with a younger demographic. In this, at the time of the audit, there were 37 posts by the Dasheries, including people. These averaged about 65 likes a post. On the other hand, there were 148 posts by the Dashery that included no people in them, and only averaged 23 likes a post. A key takeaway from this is that posts with people in them cause more engagement online.
Moving to a website analysis, in order to provide some information on things that the dashboard could change, we conducted our website analysis in conjunction with Tyler Goldberg. Obviously, as you guys know, he owns and operates Cybersprout, a successful web development company. While offering much insight, he focused mainly on the fact that SEO is one of the most important factors when considering updating your website. Additionally, he noted that providing informative, relatable, and informational things on your website will help drive better online traffic. Moving to our secondary research, we used 3 different sources. We used one from Forbes, Mainstream Media, and a business academic book titled Social Media Selection. Now the Forbes article talked about how first impressions online can be just as important as they are in store.
From the advertising agency Mainstream Media and their study they conducted, it was found that young customers often research products before going into the store online. And finally, in the book Social Media Selection, it was found that it was good to be present on all social media platforms, but 1 or 2 to be focused on mainly in order to yield the highest return on your time.
From there, we determined 4 main conclusions. The first of which is that a website for a retail company is integral and must offer an option for purchase, especially for younger customers, in order to have the greatest impact on your community as well as increase website traffic. Our second conclusion was that customers do base their knowledge of a business specifically on a lot of social media and website, the ability to look at their social media and website. And this is integral in deciding the perception of the company for that customer. Thirdly, we found that community involvement and quality customer service must be paired with social media content that is improvable and relatable to social media content to help attract a younger target market. And lastly, we found that actively engaging with social media and website interactions is an essential part of being a strong brand presence.
For our website activities, we'd first like to make an online store, then make to a website update. This can be maintained as needed, such as when new inventory comes in. From there, we'd like to increase the SEO to drive new customers to the Dash's website. That is just the tip of the iceberg, however. From there, we'd like to promote discounted sales, create a Google My Business and shopping account, which allows customers to buy Dasher products directly from the Google search results. After that, we'd like to integrate this online store with social media, which allows customers of Dasher to buy products seen in posts with convenience of not having to go off the social media app. And finally, we'd like to use Google's machine learning ad software in order to push Dasher ads to its target market.
For social media activities, we want to do something similar to Kindred People. We'd like to start with giveaways, promote discounts and sales, and increase the use of models and local ambassadors. Moving into some of the other activities, we think that focusing on community and organizational partnerships will greatly help the Dashery. These can include Cardinal Sports partnerships, as well as a partnership with Alexandria DECA Chapter, and even partnerships with other businesses like Kindred People. In addition, these will also provide for sports teams, this can provide discounts on clothing. For DECA members, also discounts on clothing, and also even host a DECA meeting in the store to allow for browsing. In addition to this, we believe that promotional videos is integral, and believing that it will also provide information on the Dashery that is not out there relatively to the other information that is provided. These promotional videos can include a company promo, as well as seasonal lookbooks depicting the upcoming inventory, and finally ending with store-made videos that can be posted on social media, which can range from anything from teaching people how to tie a tie to information on upcoming promotions.
For a timeline, we'd like to start this in April to give the Dasher a few months to prepare. We'd first start with the launch of our online store. We estimate this to take 2 months to get up and running at 100% capacity. From there, we'd like to increase the search engine optimization, increase online social media ads, as well as an increase of local ambassadors and models in social media posts. All this should be completed in April.
In May, once the store is running, we'd like to update and create, for the Dashery, a Google My Business account and a Google Shopping account. Once there, we will promote recurring discounts, create different promos, and do the rest of what's on our timeline, except for a promotional video. We will start that in June because that's the start of the summer months, and that is when we believe most people will be online and looking at the video.
For our budget, we broke our budget into 4 sections. First being social media. An estimated total yearly for this is $3,136. Our second section is online marketing. The estimated total for this yearly is $9,368. Our third section is for content marketing. We estimate a $1,660 yearly cost for this. And finally, our fourth section is public relations. This is an estimated $3,767 per year. All these sections together totals $17,932.56 per year.
As most marketing campaigns have a way of gauging their success, we made 5 performance indicators that include percentage of teen shoppers, social media engagements, social media and website conversions, website traffic increase, and quarterly sales analysis and comparisons. Moving on to our customer lifetime value, we thought that this was integral in creating an effective ROI, and we used numbers specifically from the Dash Rate in order to create this. First, we began by determining that the average cost of a product in the Dash Rate is $69.96. We then multiplied that by the 1.9 times that customers go into the Dash Rate on average per year, and that equals to $132.92. From there, we took that number and multiplied it by the projected 156 new customers that this campaign is going to yield. And from that yielded us a number of $20,735.56. From there, we subtracted our $17,000 budget, leaving us with a $2,806.96 first year return on investment, or a 15.6% return on investment. Now, if you look at these right here, year 5 and year 10 totals, these are all compounded. But a business like the Dash Rate is not corporate like many others. So a marketing campaign like this can change over time. And we want to use our performance indicators in order to allow the Dash Rate to decide which activities are selling and which are failing in comparison. This will allow the Dash Rate to move money around between activities that they deem are that are going to provide the most success in the future. Now, on behalf of all of us here and the Look Great, Feel Great campaign team, we would like to thank you all for coming here to watch our presentation, as well as everybody else's. We hope you are all ready to let the Dash Rate make you not only look great, but feel great too. Thank you. We will now be taking questions.
Great job. Did you guys get your suits at Walmart, or where'd you guys go?
Oh, yeah, we know where we're going.
Honestly, with that question, did you guys get your suits? Did you actually go to the Dash Rate?
Yes, we did go to the Dash Rate.
Explain kind of how that made you guys feel like when you went in there, got your suits. I mean, you're talking about the Look Good, Feel Great campaign, and just kind of take us through how you guys felt when you went in there, how you're going to use that, your experiences going in there to shop for your guys' suits, how you guys are going to use that kind of for your videos and to your next competition.
That's a great question. And going into the Dash Rate for the first time, I had no knowledge of any of the people that worked there. I had never been in there before in my life. And the first thing that I noticed was going in the front or back door, the first thing that's going to happen is one of their amazing staff members is going to sit there and be like, hey, is there anything I can help you with today, or are you just browsing? Because we all know that we hate the people that are just constantly on your back. That was one of the first things we noticed. Now, when it comes to our suits, the Dash Rate was kind enough to donate these in order for us to actually try and implement some of the things that we had already thought about from the beginning. So we have taken many pictures already that are already posted on social media, specifically the Dash Rate social media. And in addition to that, we have plans to start creating the promotional video for the Dash Rate. They have loved some of the ideas that we have had, and they are very excited to work with us to help actually create some of these in the future.
I would maybe implement that in the next step, your next presentation at State. Maybe, obviously real life data is always excellent. Maybe use that. How you guys felt when you walked in there, and how important it was to you. How great you guys felt, and how confident you guys are to, wearing that instead of maybe something not from the Dash Rate. So, also actually from being a customer following on social media and stuff, your target market, what you had written was anywhere from 24 to 64, but you're also looking for brand ambassadors. Essentially, if you had to drill down, where do you really think the most important age range is for the Dash Rate? And your brand ambassadors, how old are you guys essentially targeting? So you have a 40-year target, obviously for age, but where is it more critical to get your customer?
Right. I think all of us could speak on this, to be completely honest. For our specific campaign, as we're talking to Mandy as well as many of the staff members at the Dash Rate, we really thought that, especially them moving from Glenwood and coming here, that a lot of the customers that they currently work with a lot of times and are constantly in the store are maybe a little bit older than, I guess, us. And there's an emerging market of kids like us and young adults that want to look like this and be able to go and feel confident. And so we believe that this campaign specifically does target the younger demographic much more than the older demographic. But we are also hoping that with an increase of the older generations being willing to go onto these social media platforms and things like that, that this will also benefit them. We know that, of course, a business like the Dasher, they have a very, very large target market. But the fact that, after talking to Mandy, they are very successful in the older target market within Alexandria, especially like how we said, they don't have much competition anymore, so people are kind of forced, especially business professionals like yourselves, to figure out where do I go buy a suit when I need to buy a suit, where do I go get a tie when I need a tie. And so, I mean, I can speak specifically Mitch, he's gone in there so many times outside of our project just to get things. And it's just always a wonderful experience when you go in there, and we think that that's the reason why not that we want to, I guess, open it to this younger target market that the Dashery is trying to hit, but they're just not necessarily getting a lot of effective results. Specifically on their social media, we noticed that a multitude of their social media followers are a lot of times women, just because a lot of times moms are the ones who purchase these types of clothing, specifically on Facebook, but even women from our high school that follow the Dashery on social media but probably have never been in the store for any reason.
Great answer. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, thank you. And please send us that video or that picture of Mark in that suit.
Of course. I think we have like 6 of them actually.
Okay, if you've made it this long, we ask 10 more minutes. Our judges have the impossible task of picking our winners. So we're going to give them about 10 minutes to decide that, and then we're going to have Ellsworth and Mike present our winners with their checks for a total of $21,000. So I'll grab you guys. I'm just glad I'm not the one deciding.
Well, the judges have returned. Thank you all for being here and for your patience waiting for the judges to make this decision. And I'll tell you, that was difficult. I think these students that made the presentations tonight deserve one more round of applause. I said this before over the last couple of years when I was up here, that all the way through high school, college, master's degree, and many years of teaching, these kids impressed me. I don't think I've ever had to do an assignment like they had to do here today. But I'm just really proud of them and want to congratulate all of them. It was very difficult to come up with a decision at first, second, third, but the Geneva men and ladies went through their financial reports and all the records, the materials that the students provided, and then we listened to the presentations tonight, and this is their decision. Okay, the number 3 group is from Agard. I'd like the students from Agard to come up. I'd say very professionally done. You look beautiful up there. $1,000 scholarship. Congratulations. And the number 2 winner tonight is the group from Alamere, our hospital. Graham Peterson, Nick Bishop, and Reese Stone. Did you hear Reese on the open line this week? Good job. Good job. How much are your checks for? $3,000 each. Or $2,000 each? Good. Okay, and our number one group tonight is the group from Alexandria Athletic Foundation. Ethan and Anna, you did a fantastic job. And you'll each be getting $4,000 in scholarships. So congratulations to everybody. Is there any final comments?
I think we'll just get some pictures on stage with the whole class.
Okay, they want some pictures of everybody on the platform here, so you'll stay. Thank you, Geneva Capital, for all you've done in making this possible. Mark, not only your time and effort, but the money, the scholarships, all that's going to go on and helping these students get to that career goal that they're trying to achieve. So thank you everybody for coming, and thank you students for a job well done.
One last thing. The final check is the last team, the first place team, I should say. There's only two. We were not trying to be thrifty. The additional $4,000 will go into the endowment fund.
To all the student competitors, congratulations. When we went back and did the judging, it was brutal to pick through the top three. Every single group this year really performed at a super high level, especially on stage with the pressure of your friends, your families, your colleagues. You guys rocked it, and you guys are the future of Alexandria, and we're in good hands. So congratulations, nice job everyone.